This is the Chazara of Gemara and Eruvin, Daf Zayin. We pick it up from Vavam and Beis. We're holding 4 lines before the wide lines. Ahu Mavi Akum, this Yushay Mavoi, the Avim in Ardad that was in Ardad, Ramal Chumra the Rav, Chumra the Shmuel, he put in it the Chumra of Rav, and the Chumra of Shmuel, but Tzachud the Lasas, and they're required that you have the Lasas, that you have the doors at the bends. Says the Gemara, meaning Chumra the Rav that we call it a Mavi Mafulash, we call it an open Mavi, and Chumra the Shmuel that we require doors. Explains the Gemara. Chumra the Rav Tarasam Mafulash. That is like open. Rav asked the Gemara 1 second. But Rav held that in the case of an open mavi, you do not need doors. Rav held like the Tanakama that you just need a Tzuras HaPesach. So why do you need doors in this case? Kishmuel. That's like Shmuel. That you need doors. Like Beis Hillel. Shmuel held that it's like a closed mavi. Kerav Mafulash. Like Rav, they hold like it's an open mavi, so it goes around in a circle. And that's the 2 chumras told like Rav and like Shmuel to require that it's like an open mavi and to require doors. Says the Gemara 1 second. We have to do we do that? But down here on the Bryce. We pass like Beis Hillel. But if you want to do like Beis Shammai, no problem. No problem. You take everyone's kula as your Rasha. You're like a blind man and a fool in the dark. You're not allowed to take all the chumras. Take everyone's kula as everyone's chumras. So why is it a good thing necessarily in our case? We do like both the chumras of Rav and the chumras of Shmuel. So first the Gemara goes into this price. Then it said you're allowed to do like Beis Shammai. 3 answers. One is before the baskel, like Beis Hillel. One is after the baskel. They're both after the baskel, like Beis Hillel. However, it's like Rav Yeshua, like the opinion of Rav Yeshua that holds that we don't baskel like baskels. And the third there says we're right now saying 3 lines down. That arguing each other. Similar to that Beis Shammai. You're now take everyone's kulas like Chomer Demar, now take everyone's chumras. You have to take everyone's kulas, everyone's chumras, meaning not necessarily in this case specifically of Beis Hillel, but rather in a case similar to this. Because in this case you have to do everything like Beis Hillel, but in a different case you got to choose one Rav and you got to go all the way with him. So now the Gemara comes back to our question: Malkum Kasha, what's going on by us? Why are we taking everyone's chumras? Yes, the kula kirav do it really. We're going like Rav. Because Rav really holds. He said he holds like Chananya, but I'm sorry, like Tanakama, but he said like Chananya that you need doors. But he says no, Rav really holds you past that way. You don't need doors. Michael, remember what you're going to say? Rav Shizvi Kilev didn't come into the tray. Very important. You only don't do like both chumras when they're a steer. They're a contradiction. Like the case of the time we learned in the Mishnah, the spine or the skull. That are lacking, then they're no longer considered a spine or the skull with regard to do din and what's the lacking when it comes to the spine. You have to be lacking 2 vertebrae. Is 1 vertebrae. By the skull, the size of Mikadech, a little larger than a Sela coin. And it's going to die, and that's the size of a Sela. They need treifa, so too with regard to the treifa, same exact thing that when it's considered lacking is going to be considered a treifa. So in this case, it's direct contradiction. Therefore, you can't say it's going to not transmit tumah when it's lacking. It does not have a din of a shit, or doesn't have a din of a spine anymore. It doesn't transmit via tumah's oil, and as well, consequently, it's going to be called a treifa. So you can't take both chumras. You have dadi like in our case, and therefore Avdina you allowed to take both chumras. Why? Because in our case, it's 2 isolated machlekes. Number 1 is, do we view this curved mavui? Do we view it like a mafulash or like a sasam? Do we view it like open or closed? In that case, we're going like Rav. They're viewing it open. And number 2 is, in the case of an open mavui, what do you need? Do you need doors or not? In that case, you be machlek like Shmuel. Then you need doors. There were 2 isolated reasons. It says you're not allowed to do that. What's going on? He picked an Esther on the Echel Shabbat, the first of Shvat of the 3rd year. Therefore, we're not sure if we pass like Beis Shammai right now. It's year number 3. Therefore, you have to give. On year number 3, you have to give Meiser Ani. If it's like Beis Hillel, the year doesn't begin until Tu B'Shvat, therefore you're going to have to give right now Meiser Ani. And what do you do? What's going on over here? Rishle they did both chumras. Again, one chumra is like Beis Shammai, that's called the 3rd year. Second chumra we said like but according to Beis Hillel, it's still the 2nd year, therefore you want to eat 10% Yerushalayim. Answers the Gemara of Kiva Gamri is topically he wasn't sure. You didn't remember what was the opinion of Beis Hillel. For Beis Hillel was one that says for Shchei Shvat or Tu B'Shvat, therefore he went with both Chumras. Says the Gemara about the two dots about halfway down. Zayin Beis. Yosef Rav Yisrael come Rav Huna Yosef come Rav Yehuda Marav. Machlek is mitzvah mikan mikan. The machlek that we just discussed Chanani Tanakama whether you need doors in a mavi mafulish a mavi that's open from Rishus Rabbim mavi into Rishus Rabbim is only that precise case. Rishus Rabbim mavi Rishus Rabbim. Avol Srati mikan mikan. But in the case where you have a caramelist on either one side or a caramelist on both sides, there's no question you don't need any doors. Let's do a pesach mikan. Then all you need is a pesach and a lechi or a kaira. Says Gemara, 1 second. First, a technical issue. Hashas Srati mikan mikan. In the case when it goes to Rishus Rabbim mavi caramelist. You make a doorway, one opening, and a lechin card, the other opening. You had to teach me where the both caramelists, then of course you make only a lechin card and a two special. Of course you don't need doors. This is what the Bryce meant. In a case we have a shizram on one end and a caramelist on the other end, we make it as if it's a bika on both ends, and therefore all you need is a pesach and a lechin card. You don't need doors. That's the end of the first half of the Bryce. Then he concluded the Bryce name Rabbi Yehuda. Let's say you have a Shizrabim Mavi into a Rachava, into a backyard. Ein Tzarach Klum on the backyard, and you don't need anything. Seemingly it's like a closed Mavi. You don't need a Surah Bas, you don't need a Lechei. All you need is on the front end by the Shizrabim. Already by the Rav Yosef on this dinner Rav Yehuda. Had Rav Yehuda to Shmuli. He must be going like the binyan of Shmuel. Why? Moving to Zayin of Beis the Rav, because he's going to the binyan of Rav. Kasha the Rav Vitarti. There's two issues that's going to be questioned on Rav. Why? The Rav Yirmi Rav Rav. Here, Rav Yirmi Rav Abbas and Rav Mavishim Mavi that was opened up. Lichatzer. Again, Rosh Hashanah Mavi Chatzer seems almost identical to our case. But if there's a Chatzer, the Kenegda, and then the Chatzer went into another Rosh Hashanah. Chatzer Mutar to Mavi Asr. In this case, Rav Abbas and the name of Rav, the same Rav. You're not going to carry in the Mavi. Why not? Why don't we say that this case is the exact same thing? Our case is just Rabbim, Mavi, Rechava, backyard. This case is just Rabbim, Mavi, Chatzar. So why in our case you let a yes carry when it goes into the backyard, but when it goes into a front yard, Kilu, Chatzar, then you're not allowed to carry? Question number 1. Question number 2 is in our case it sounds like it's only because it goes into the Rechava. But if we go into a Chatzar, it sounds like you need to have an Eruv. But in that case it sounds like it's nothing to do with an Eruv. It wouldn't work ever. Why? Because the Chatzar opens into another Shatzaradim. So it sounds like it's a straight Mavi Mefulash, and you go straight into the Shatzaradim. You can't carry it all. 2 pounds. So again, this is the bite of Yosef. So Rav Yosef responds, I don't know exactly the reason. However, of the Haveh B'dur de Rusa, there was a story with the shepherds. Mavish Kaler Achav was Mavi that went into the backyard. Haveh. Fossil came to Rav Yehuda. They came to Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda said in the backyard here, you don't need anything. V'hi Kash Mishmei the Rav, and if you are by here telling me it doesn't work with Rav, Tevin Mishmei the Shmuel, great. So we'll go like the opinion of Shmuel. V'lo Kash Midi, there'll be no question. But now, so Rav Yosef accepted what Abaye said. However, says the Gemara, Hasham, Rav Shishis to Rav Shmuel Barabba. V'amlo Rav Yosef Barabba, and something he said to Rav Yosef Barabba, that Rav Shishis explained. I'm going to explain to you why in the case of the Chatzar, he said you're not allowed to carry in the Mavoi, Kancha Ervu, Kancha Lo Ervu. The reason is because you didn't make an Eirov. You always need an Eirov when you're going between two Rishus and two Rishus Yachids. So it's not because the Chatzar was opened up into another Shirab. The reason is you didn't make an Eirov. And if you don't make an Eirov between two Rishus Yachids, you're also not allowed to carry in each one independently. Therefore, in our case, if a Mavi into a Chatzar, you're not allowed to carry from the Mavi into the Chatzar. You're also not allowed to carry in the Mavi itself. So I'll tell you as well, there's no question about us. The same thing we're going to explain, and therefore there's no question. It's not because when it's Shirab, it's because you didn't make an Erev. And that Rav Yehuda would agree in our case as well, that you're allowed to carry. Why? By the Rechava, you're allowed to carry even without an Erev, because by the Rechava, you don't use the backyard as much, and therefore you don't need the Erev. It's not like going to Shiyachid. By the Chatzar, you're going from Mavi into Shiyachid, if you need an Erev. In our case, Rechava, you're not going into a Barashus that's used properly, therefore you don't need an Erev. We'll pick it up from here tomorrow.